So, fellow Africans, if you know Joshua Maponga, the renowned Pan-Africanist, it is alleged that Joshua Maponga has received some bribe. Now, remember that this one is not yet proven. It is just alleged, and so many people are talking about it, and I thought it was wise that me as a fellow African to talk about it. Now, Joshua Maponga, it is alleged that he has received 10% of 20 million US dollars. And the main reason why Joshua Maponga has received this money is simple: to keep quiet and to support the ongoing agenda of the government in Zimbabwe. Okay? So the government in Zimbabwe is fighting so hard to make sure that there's this article in Zimbabwe, Article 3 of the Constitution, that the Constitution has to be amended. And the Article 3 basically talks about presidential term limit. Now, let's not talk about that so much. We can have this video of Joshua Maponga responding to those allegations, then we can come back and analyze the video further. And remember, this one is not yet proven, it is alleged. Meaning that even Joshua Maponga himself, he knows that people are talking about this. That's why he had to respond to these allegations. Now let's have a look at what Joshua Maponga is saying. Then when we come back, we can analyze the video further.
One of the things that captivated our minds recently, Bishop Maponga, were certain allegations from certain circles about the opposition political leader, Advocate Nelson Chamisa. There were other individuals who were accusing him of having received over 20 million US dollars from ZANU-PF in order to keep him quiet, in order to make sure that he does not disturb the Amendment Bill number 3. I want to find out from you, when you hear these stories as a Zimbabwean, I do know that you said you don't believe in democracy, but we are in a democracy. We ushered it in 1980. And our constitution of 2013 affirms that, the fact that we are in a constitutional democracy. Now, I want to find out, does it come to you, to your mind, in terms of, it is actually true that Nelson Chamisa, can be bought for 20 million US dollars to silence him? Because we hear all around that Bishop Maponga, but I don't want you to answer this one, but I'm just mentioning it, that Bishop Maponga got 10%, Temba Mliswa got 10% as well from Billy Rottenbeck. We hear that this other minister got 10%. It is all 10%. I don't know why not 15% and 20%, but I want to find out how easy is it? How easy is it, Bishop Maponga, to believe that somebody can be bought for 20 million in Zimbabwe to silence them from competing in a democratic dispensation, which is wrought in our 2013 constitution or in our constitution? How easy can that be? From your understanding of our society.
My focus is sharing knowledge. My focus is sharing wisdom. My focus is sharing indigenous ethics, accountability, and responsibilities, the ancient ways of governance, where some of these democratic loopholes can actually be stopped. As such, a platform such as yours, which is known for facts, which is known for research, with able minds that we have, it's amazing how much we gobble and we eat the 10% across the board. You rightfully put it, everybody's 10%. Even you right now, you also receive 10%. The question is 10% of what? Who can just say 10% and thumbsuck a figure? And I think sometimes, as particularly as Zimbabweans, we tend to have some political lethargy of some sort, where we are now tired of one system, and therefore every other rumor that makes us feel better becomes edible. It only feels bad and terrible when that rumor leaches up on you and someone labels you as such. I have not received 10% of nothing from nobody.
You've heard it right, guys, that Joshua Maponga is just denying the allegations. Now remember, we cannot verify what people are saying over the internet. But if it happens that indeed Joshua Maponga accepted the bribe, then he is indeed betraying the Pan-African spirit, totally betraying the Pan-African spirit. And I am not saying that Joshua Maponga took the bribe, no. I'm just saying that if he took the bribe, then he's betraying the Pan-African spirit, because you know Joshua Maponga, he's eloquent, he is very verbal about Pan-African spirit, talking about integration in Africa, talking about democracy in Africa, talking about Africa opening borders. So if indeed Joshua Maponga took the 10% bribe from the 20 million, then this one is a betrayal of the highest order. Honestly speaking, if he did that, then it's a betrayal of the highest order. But my thoughts are, maybe he did not take the bribe. Maybe he did not take the bribe. And the main reason why people are talking about this bribe thing is because of what is going on in Zimbabwe. That Zimbabwe is now figuring it out, okay, to pass a bill in parliament. And this bill is to support the extension of presidential term limit from the now 5-year term to 7-year term. And allow me to say this. In a democratic country, and I say this one in quotes, democratic country, I thought it was wise if this bill was to be, the bill was to be taken to the people, okay? Because sovereignty lies within the people. So the bill has to be taken to the people. They go through the bill. Then at the end of the day, they can come up with what they've decided. Of course, this one means there'll be elections in Zimbabwe, okay? There'll be elections in Zimbabwe so that the constitution can be amended. But now, if you look at what is going on in Zimbabwe, the presidential term limit, this bill is to be debated in the parliament and is to be passed by the parliament. In fact, just listen to this. In fact, according to what I'm reading online, is the MPs, so if this bill passes, the MPs will be the ones who will be electing the president, not the people. Okay? So people are electing the MPs and the MPs are electing the president. Can you even believe that? And you see, even Joshua Maponga is talking about that. He is supporting that. And that's why people are saying that Joshua Maponga has been paid so that he can support what is going on. Maponga is very vocal in this and is supporting this. In fact, in one of the videos, Maponga is heard saying that he supports 7-year presidential term limit because he believes that the 5-year presidential term limit is too little to realize development within a country. And is giving out examples to countries like China, Russia, Singapore, okay? Now, that is not even a problem. The problem is, look at the dispensation at which Maponga is referring to. Maponga is referring to China, Russia, and Singapore. These are developed countries. These are countries who have sanitized their corruption. These are countries whose leaders, they love their countries, whose leaders, they are not corrupt. So if this one is to be happening in Zimbabwe, then in one way or another, it means that, okay, this one is my own take. It means that power will lie within the chosen few. Because you know Africa, the African leaders, they are greedy. Okay? African leaders are greedy. So it means that power will lie between the chosen few within Zimbabwe. And the chosen few will benefit from this power. So it is noteworthy that Maponga is also talking about the fact that Russia, China, Singapore, they are developed because they've extended their presidential term limit. That is not true. The main reason why these countries are developed is because they chose to sanitize their politics. At the same time, they are led by people who are in love with their countries, people who love their people, okay? People who love their citizens, okay? So when we add presidential term limit in Zimbabwe, I don't think we can realize much, because look at even President Mugabe. He was in power for over 30 years. What did we see? Nothing. We saw nothing totally. So this agenda of adding presidential term limit, I don't think if it's worthy. That if we add presidential term limits, we will see more development. That is not the case. What we need to do, we need to sanitize our politics. We need to make corruptions an exception rather than the rule. You see, for Africans, you are making corruption a rule rather than an exception. Because at the end of the day, there is no country in this world that is corruption-free. There is no country in this world that it is corruption-free. So the main reason why we are not developing is because we are prioritizing corruption. Corruption is a rule rather than an exception. So we have to be led by men and women who love their countries, men and women who want to catapult African continent to another level as far as human development is concerned, men and women who want to catapult the continent to another orbit level as far as economy is concerned. It is as simple as that. So we can have a look at what Maponga was talking about, why, and referring to other countries that should be emulated, that Zimbabwe should emulate those countries.